Shalom Aleichem. Following the hearing at the Congress of the three major universities, where the presidents of those universities were not able to bring themselves to say that it's against the university's policies to call upon the genocide of the Jews, you can clearly see how education in the West and in the world has become. How did it get to that stage that it's such a lunacy? So much so that they have in there already progressive ideas, and this is what these universities represent, and that's what they teach: progressive ideas about a mix-up of genders, and you can't call a person according to his gender. You're not allowed to call today a boy, you're not allowed to call him, or a girl her. All kind of lunacies that goes on. Where did this come from? That is because a person in his mind can go off to any he could go very, very far with his mind, and he can teach and preach that if he has the power and he has the position to others as well. This is the danger of today universities, where we talking about the Torah. Torah represents just the opposite, and we see that in the parasha of this week's parasha, Parashat Hashavua, Parashat Miketz, that Paro addresses Yosef, and he addresses him thinking that Yosef is just a clever man, just like all his other advisors, just he's much more clever than them, and therefore he'll be able to help him out, understand his dream, and solve it. And that's what he says to יוסף. ויאמר פרעה אל יוסף, חלום חלמתי ופותר אין אותו, ואני שמעתי עליך לאמור תשמע חלום לפתור אותו. Rashi says over here, תאזין ותבין חלום לפתור אותו. You'll be able to hear, and you'll be able to understand it correctly, because you're such a clever man. So also Rabbeinu Bechai says, אני שמעתי עליך לאמור תשמע חלום לפתור אותו. What does it mean? תשמע, hear, תבין. Just like it says שמע ישראל. שמע ישראל means listen and understand. That's what it means. שהוא עניין התבוננות, look into it, comprehend, understand. כלומר, what did פרעה tell יוסף? יש בך כוח החוכמה והבינה לפתור החלום. You have the ability, you have the wisdom to take the dream, understand it, and be able to solve it for me. Yosef tells him, no. Don't take me to that route. It's nothing about me. בלעדיי, האלוקים יענה את שלום פרעה. What does it mean? Again, Rashi says, בלעדיי, אין החוכמה משלי. The wisdom is not mine. It's not me that's starting to think and come out with all kind of crazy ideas that brought to my head. Also, Rabbeinu Bechai says, בלעדיי, השיב יוסף, אין כוח החוכמה והבינה בי, אלא חוץ ממני. The wisdom that I'm telling you is not my wisdom. I'm just going to tell you exactly, האלוקים יענה את שלום פרעה. הכל בא מכוח אלוקים שהוא בא לכוחות כולם, והוא יעזור אותך מצער החלום ופתרונו. Which means like this. Yosef tells him that I'm not going to tell you my ideas over here. You don't want to hear me. You want to hear the truth. The truth is divrei Elokim Chaim, is what Hashem told us, and that's with Torah. When somebody many times asks me of my opinion of different things, I tell them, you want to hear my opinion or want to hear the Torah opinion, Hashem's opinion? I can tell you what the Torah says if I know. I'll be able to tell you and show you what the Torah says. You don't want to hear my opinion. Who cares about my opinion? Because my opinion is my opinion, and other people have different opinions, and everybody has their own opinions. And you can go with people's opinions very, very far, to the point that you can have what you have today, that calling the genocide of the Jews is acceptable. Try calling for the genocide of a different minority, like blacks or Muslims. You see the response of those principles. Of course, they'll be right away condemning it and doing everything that nobody should talk that way. But the Jews is fine. Why? They'll have explanations, because today you can find explanations to everything, since it comes from their own mind, which is affected by their morality and their feelings. And when you have that, it's endless. It can go very, very far and very, very crazy. But when we're talking about Torah, Torah is about seeing what Hashem said. What is the truth? What is the Torah saying? Biladai, I'm not involved over here. I just learned enough that I can show you where it says what I'm telling you. And this is basically what it says in the Parasha Vayetchanan. In Parashat Vayetchanan, it's so interesting that the Torah warns us, רק ישמר לך ושמור נפשך מאוד פן תשכח את הדברים אשר ראו עיניך. Be very careful not to forget what I have taught you over here. What does that mean? You should know exactly what the Torah means, what the Torah says. It says over here, ושמרתם ועשיתם כי חוכמתכם ובינתכם לעיני העמים אשר ישמעון את כל החוקים האלה. This is your wisdom in relation to other nations. Learning the Torah. And then when they see that we learn the Torah correctly, they would say, ואמרו רק עם חכם ונבון הגוי הגדול הזה. This is a wise nation. And it says over here, רק ישמר לך ושמור נפשך פן תשכח את הדברים. Be careful not to forget anything that you're learning. Rashi says over there, אז כשלא תשכחו אותם, only when you're not going to forget what the Torah says to the exact, ותעשו מה למיתתם, and you'll be able to follow what the Torah says exactly the way the Torah says it, which means you'll know the Torah perfectly. תחשבו חכמים ונבונים. Only then you'll be able to be considered a wise nation. ואם תעבדו אותם מתוך שכחה, תחשבו שוטי. But if you start forgetting or you're not going to understand correctly, precisely what the Torah says, what the Torah means, you'll be considered fools. And that is what the Torah commends us many times, that you have to know the Torah perfectly. You have to understand what Hashem says perfectly. You have to know what He says. And that's the thing that differentiates between those that learn Torah in yeshiva. They're not saying what they think. It's not that they let the mind go out without control. Rather, they are framed according to what the Torah teaches us to think. This is basically what we say in the prayer. Baruch Eloheinu shebra'anu לכבודו. Hashem created us for Him. והבדילנו מן הטועים. He separated us from those that are mistaken. How? נתן לנו תורת אמת. He gave us the Torah, which is called תורת אמת, the Torah of truth. וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. Only then you realize that we're not here to represent to others what we think, because that's endless, and that could be completely out of control. And we see it today so clearly. The Torah stays emet forever and ever.